they talking real loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Popping pillars swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Popping pillars swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an...
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah show. Oh, hold on, beloveds. I'm going to have to reload this. Hold on just a second. Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay. I don't know why StreamYard does that. If I'm not on the screen for a certain amount of time, it just removes me. Okay, so anyway, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, let's see who's in here. All right, the lovely T, Claudette, Perplex, Vince, I am from the UK. Deronda is in the virtual building. All right, Mel is here. Buckhurst, DC, we the people. Songwriter Sonny. All right, let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed to the channel, especially if you haven't been receiving your notifications. Okay, so let's have a brief word from my sponsor, and then let's get into it. Shout out to Mel. And I said, Mel, Mama Johnson, Chanel is in here. All right, Nessa G is in the house. Okay, so let's get this party started.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. And also, you can find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells the beard oil as well. Okay, so let's get into it. let's get into it because, even though Chuck Schumer didn't actually vote to reopen the government, he's facing the liberal fury anyway. Okay. I mean, they're calling for him to resign, and rightfully so, because he's not a good leader. How did he let this happen? I mean, the Democrats walked away with nothing. Okay. They went home empty handed. What was the whole point of the shutdown? Okay. What was the whole point of the shutdown? They were supposed to be trying to secure subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. And instead, they walked away with a pinky swear. Okay. That's all they walked away with. Cross your heart and hope to die, stick a needle in your eye. Politics, is that what we're doing? Is that what we're engaging in? Because this coming from a party, whose leader, which is the president, does nothing but lie, who fought so relentlessly in court, okay, in order for him not to have to pay or give up the benefits for people to be able to afford food. And so they're just going to take a pinky swear from Trump and them. That's what they're doing. Please make it all make sense. So anyway, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer went out of his way to embody the anger of his Democratic base during this fall's funding showdown with Republicans. Now, an intentional turnaround from the capitulation in March that turned him into a villain in his own party, they say. Now he's talking about they want him to take the blame. He's got to take the blame from many in the party, regardless, even though he didn't vote to reopen. Well, you know what? He knew what he was doing. Okay, please pay attention. Now, despite voting against the final deal on Monday night, the New York Democrat is again being pummeled by vocal Democrats across the party who argue that he allowed his centrist members to strike a deal with the GOP that fails to prevent spiking healthcare costs for tens of millions of Americans. And, in some cases, Bernie Sanders was saying, the healthcare costs might even triple. It could be worse than doubling for some of these people. Now, in the immediate aftermath of the deal, many of his own Senate Democrats were mum about whether they continue to support him as a leader. Multiple House Democrats called for him to go ahead and just resign. And a raft of Senate candidates trashed him as they look to survive tight Democratic primaries and key races. Okay, they want him out of there. They say he's not fit to be a leader. They say he fumbled the ball. But what do you all say? Do you all think that the Dems had to do something because their hands were tied? Or do you think that they just caved? Because that's what it's given, okay? It's like they just did all of this for nothing. They should have toed the line. They should have held out. Because now Trump got exactly what he wanted. And it literally just makes me nauseous. How about y'all? Well, yeah, of course, Mel said Trump swears the economy is great. He swears it's great because he's making billions. Okay, he's making billions, he and his children. They're getting paid, so he doesn't have any complaints. There's nothing to see here. Okay. Anyway, with that all being said, and also you all listen, don't forget to remind me to tell you all about Diddy. I actually meant to talk about Diddy first before I got into all of this. But so don't forget to remind me. Okay? Because y'all know I'll get in my whole rant and completely forget. Okay, here we go. Now the shutdown's not officially over. Okay, it's in the works.
Well, it is day 41 of the government shutdown, and the Senate just moments ago passed the bill to reopen the government. So is the government open as of right now? Well, no. This bill still has to go over to the House, and lawmakers there have been out of town, out on recess for more than 50 days. Now lawmakers are scrambling to come back here to Washington, D.C. to vote on this measure by Wednesday. But for weeks now, we have seen Democrats really hold this line, saying they will not agree to reopen the government unless Republicans agree to their health care demands. In the end, they got none of that. Really, what they got is a promise to have a vote in the Senate on health care, but there's no guarantee that Republicans are going to support it. In fact, one Republican told me today there's no chance that Republicans come around to supporting this. So we put the question to Democrats, was this all really worth it? Here's what they told us. You explain, though, to your constituents why it was worth it to put up this fight for so long when in the end you did not get your key demand.
Because it wasn't working. How long would it take to not get a response to say it isn't working?
Well, it is day 41 of the government shutdown, and the Senate just moments ago.
Okay, didn't he sound like he was nervous? Or like somebody had a gun to him? You know, making him say whatever? Here's the thing. The Democrats are not going to get anything, okay? Them getting a pinky swear that, okay, we'll talk about it in December, that's not going to amount to anything, okay? Because for one, how do we know that? Because Chuck Schumer, I'm sorry, not Chuck Schumer, MAGA Mike, okay? Mike Johnson, he already came out and said that even if it passes the Senate, he's never going to let it go up for a vote in the House. Okay, he's not going to let it go up before the House of Representatives. So, a nothing burger. Okay, we got nothing. All right, and that's just also so sad because they've gone through all of this only to end up with nothing. I find it all so interesting. Likes up, everyone, please. A like and share. Thank you in advance.
The Democrats cave, at least 8 of them, in voting to invoke cloture, to eventually move on to vote to reopen government? In short, I think the answer is for sure yes. Now, also keep in mind, I think it's clear that within the Democratic circles, they basically found 8 people willing to vote to do this, and the rest of them could vote no. How do I know that? Because the people that are voting for cloture are either not running again or just got reelected. So shows the courage there. But listen, ultimately, the Republicans have made it clear all year that they are not going to talk to Democrats. They've bragged about it. They've bragged about how they don't need them, how they're not going to discuss anything with them. Donald Trump has done the same thing. And all of a sudden, we get to this point where Democrats have a tiny bit of power, a tiny bit. And that is just whether or not to invoke cloture. And so they can have every right, according to the Constitution, to request something for it. And I think they've requested something very normal, which is let's figure out these ACA subsidies, which, by the way, the Republicans could have been negotiating with them the whole time. But what's happened instead? Mike Johnson has kept every Republican home for like the last 2 months, yet they've been paid twice, $30,000 gross for each member of Congress during this shutdown. They had a great Gatsby party at Mar-a-Lago. They're continuing to build this big, massive ballroom. It is completely out of touch with the pain that the American people are feeling.
That's right. Okay, they're out there just living life as like it's golden. And this is just so crazy. Like I said, for the Dems to just come back with nothing. Bernie Sanders was livid. So was Hakeem Jeffries. And it's really crazy to me that they went ahead and caved because the judges had already said that they have to pay the people the SNAP. Because the Dems are trying to act as though, oh, we had to go ahead and cave. We had to go ahead and, just do what we had to do. We had to go ahead and give in because people got to eat. But the judges had already said that they have to pay those SNAP benefits in full anyway. Okay? And then, even though the Supreme Court's on Trump's side, because clearly he's appointed them, many of them, the bottom line is the Dems should not have just given in only to walk away empty-handed, okay? After they had such a phenomenal night last week, okay? They had so much leverage. They had so much momentum. And now, well, we'll see how that's turned out. Okay, let's go to Mr. Sanders to see what he has to say about it all. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Ha! Miss Evie said she wonders if they were threatened. Miss Evie said, I wonder if they were threatened. I have questions. I don't think they were threatened. You know what I think? I think that they're all in on it. You see, because here's the thing: the 8 Democrats that caved, the ones that just threw in the towel, well, they really got nothing to lose, okay? They got nothing to lose right now because, first of all, 3 of them are not going up for re-election until 2028, and then the other 3, there's three other ones until 2030. So I'm quite sure that they think that by then we'll all have forgotten about the whole thing. Okay, that's likely what they're thinking, that we'll have forgotten about it.
What this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse. So let's be clear what this vote is about. If this vote succeeds, over 20 million Americans are going to see at least a doubling in their premiums in the Affordable Care Act. And my friends, know what you are voting on. Studies are out there that when you throw 15 million people off of health care, some 50,000 of our fellow Americans will die unnecessarily every single year. Anyone think that's funny? Something to laugh at? Something to just go past? I don't. Tonight, what?
Okay. I mean, they really did make a huge mistake as far as I'm concerned. Because in December, nothing's going to change.
8 Democrats voted with the Republicans to allow them to go forward on this continuing resolution. And to my mind, this was a very, very bad vote. What it does, first of all, is it raises healthcare premiums for over 20 million Americans by doubling, and in some cases tripling or quadrupling. People can't afford that when we are already paying the highest prices in the world for healthcare. Number 2, it paves the way for 15 million people to be thrown off of Medicaid in the Affordable Care Act. Studies show that will mean that some 50,000 Americans will die every year unnecessarily. And all of that was done to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. As everybody knows, just on Tuesday, we had an election all over this country. And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism, to his war against working class people, to his authoritarianism. That is what the American people wanted. But tonight, that is not what happened. So we've got to go forward, do the best that we can to try to protect working class people, to make sure that the United States not only does not throw people off of health care, but ends the absurdity of being the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people. We got a lot of work to do. But to be honest with you, tonight was not a good night.
Yeah, it sure was. And then let me tell you all something. What we have here are some Democratic deflectors. Okay, that was always going to be the move. Okay, like I keep telling you all, there's some of these Democrats that are absolutely in on it. Okay, they're in on the con. They're working hand in hand in unison and in concert with these Republicans. Okay, please pay attention. All right, that's exactly what they're doing. They're working hand in hand with them. All right. This was the end game all along. I told you all, fake outrage, sitting here complaining, making all these gripes, but not doing anything. I keep telling y'all that. Now, I'm not saying all of the Democrats, but definitely some of them.
Back to the senators on the other side of the Capitol, they're going to have to explain themselves. But the overwhelming majority of Senate Democrats continue to remain in the arena fighting to fix our broken healthcare system and address the Republican healthcare crisis. This fight for us is not partisan. It's not a partisan fight. It's a patriotic fight. We're waging this fight on behalf of the American people. The 5 states that are most impacted by a failure to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits are West Virginia, Wyoming, Alaska, Mississippi, and Tennessee. 45% of the people, of the Americans who are going to lose health care or be at risk of losing health care if they don't, on the other side of the aisle, extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, 45% of them are registered Republicans. 35% registered Democrats, and 20% unaffiliated or independent. This is not a partisan fight for us. It's a patriotic fight. With respect.
And you know, the interesting thing is, like I said, the Dems they have to be in cahoots, because how could they be so foolish? Ask yourselves that. How could they be so ridiculous? I mean, a government with an administration that is working overtime to starve people, to make things as difficult as possible, to strip people of their health care. I mean, affordable health care at least. Okay, and they're supposed to trust them. They shouldn't be paying attention to anything that they're saying. And Trump, did you all hear him going off on the air traffic controllers? Just going in on them. I mean, just going off on them. Hold on, let me go to it. And then they even had an air traffic controller come out and speak about all the BS that's going on. Here we go. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Now, this is Pete Buttigieg.
Now that Chasten and I have got the kids to bed, hopefully third time's the charm, I got to talk about something that happened earlier today. So I was here in the kitchen getting dinner ready when someone sent me this video of the president attacking me from the Oval Office.
We had a guy named Buttigieg. Edge, they say is the best way. Just say two edges, like off the edge of a cliff, which is where they were taking us, by the way. Edge was the Secretary of Transportation, and he spent billions of dollars trying to patch together our air traffic control system, which was a conglomeration of all different systems in all different cities. They had hundreds of companies working on it, and they were spending billions of dollars. And when they turned it on, it didn't work. It didn't even work a little bit.
Now, other than mostly pronouncing my name right, everything he
said, Pete Edge. Like on the edge of a cliff. Trump is a whole idiot, okay? He is a whole idiot. Now, D Major said, it's not all the Dems, it's the leadership. The fish rots from the head down. Chuck Schumer might as well be Republican. He needs to resign in disgrace. Not in disgrace, beloved. Okay, yeah, he absolutely does need to resign. It's not even a game. He really does, okay? He is a terrible leader. I blame him for most of it. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings.
Said was wrong. He told a story about what's going on with air traffic control, which was both false and confusing. He just made a bunch of shit up about air traffic control. This is a system that was in pretty rough shape by the time he lost in 2020 and we took it over. So we improved it, including launching a long-term communications fix that is still underway that he is now passing off as his idea. And thanks to our work, this year, he became the first president in decades to inherit an air traffic control workforce that was actually growing instead of shrinking. The most important part of the whole system is the air traffic controllers themselves, which is why it is disgraceful that the president went on social media earlier today and attacked controllers after everything that they've been through, and at a moment when America has a serious air traffic control shortage. So why would the president be picking a fight with air traffic controllers today of all days? Probably it's to change the subject from how he and Republicans are increasing your health insurance premiums on purpose right now, and from how he has totally failed on his promise to make everyday life more affordable. Right now, the president is losing on the economy because the American people can see how he's failing, and people feel it every time they open up an insurance bill, every time they go grocery shopping. So for everyone who wants to see change, let's stay focused. Let's keep the pressure on. Let's take the same energy that saw Democrats dominating Election Day last week and carry it into next year and beyond. Okay, so now that Chasten and I have got the kids to bed, and hopefully third time's the charm.
Okay, now let's go to, here's a pilot who's clearly frustrated about the shutdown.
But you should really call your senator, because I'll tell you, this is costing the airlines millions of dollars. And just think of 30 airplanes with one engine running. And it's going to take us at least 90 minutes to take off. So it's frustrating. It's really frustrating for me. Because right now it's going to cost about 2 hours of our lives on the ground before we even take off, spend all that gas, all that money, and it just rolls into the rest of this system. So right now we're at a 4% reduction in flight capacity. Next week we go to 10. Last night I had a 6-hour delay in Houston, and the weather was perfect. It's because the air traffic controllers aren't getting paid. I don't really care what your political persuasion is, but you should really call your senator. Because
He said you should really call your senator. Okay, see, everybody is upset. There's people stuck at the airport. Okay, now look at this. And then Trump wants to be yelling at them, going in on them on social media, typing in all caps and all of that, this crazy self.
Can't go home. Where can you go? We've been here for 3 days because of planes. That shouldn't be happening.
Because I have a Connecticut license and the flight was canceled, they won't rent me a car. Guess what I have to do? I'm going to U-Haul. And I'm going to drive a truck cross country to get back to Utah because I have to be back by Tuesday.
I definitely just want the shutdown to end. You know, all the employees here not getting paid. I bet they're, pissed.
The holidays are coming up, and if this continues, this is going to end up being a big problem.
I was flying Delta and there was no reimbursement or anything, so I had to pay for a hotel.
Who do you blame?
The government. If you can't go home, where can you go? We've been here for 3 days because of
All right, hard times. Hard times. And, like I said, Trump is clearly out here preoccupied. And then, his administration had the nerve to act as though they're the victims. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. They tried to act as though they're the victims. Let's go to it. Let me just show you all this. Okay. Now, the opening sentence asserts that the district court's order threatens significant and irreparable harm to the government, which outweighs any claimed injury to plaintiffs. Now, first of all, in case you're wondering what that was the beginning of their appeals letter to the judge. Okay? To the judge, when they were trying so desperately to have not to have to pay the SNAP benefits. Look at this. In plain English, the Justice Department is telling the court that it would hurt the federal government more to comply with a judge's order requiring full food stamp payments than it would hurt millions of low-income Americans to potentially starve. Let's simplify this even further. The government is arguing that once the money is spent, it can't be unspent, and that would be horrible. But the hungry can't eat tomorrow, and that's not as bad. Okay, that is the contention. Okay, this administration is something else. And this is not even a joke. This is them being serious. Now, So, like I told you all, Trump went in and slammed the air traffic controllers who called out during the government shutdown. Now, mind you, these people were not being paid. President Trump is slamming U.S. air traffic controllers who called out of work during the shutdown, during which they were forced to stay on the job without pay. Some of these people had to go and try to get jobs working for Uber and DoorDash, and things like that, Uber Eats and whatnot, so they can try to have side money because to help them stay afloat while they're not being paid. Okay, like Trump needs to sit down somewhere. Okay, so now Trump said in a Truth Social post Monday morning that he was not happy with controllers who took time off. Okay, all air traffic controllers must get back to work now. Okay, anyone who doesn't will be substantially docked. And some of this, he's typing in all caps like he's yelling. The Federal Aviation Administration had been contending with a shortage of air traffic controllers since well before the shutdown began. But the crisis deepened when the government closed the controllers and received a partial paycheck and then no paycheck at all. Some have taken on second jobs, while others have called in sick. Controllers are set to miss their second full paycheck this week. Now, in a statement, to NPR, the National Air Traffic Controllers Association says this nation's air traffic controllers have been working without pay for over 40 days. Okay, the vast majority of these highly trained and skilled professionals continue to perform one of the most stressful and demanding jobs in the world, despite not even being compensated. Many are working 6-day weeks and 10-hour days without any pay. These unsung heroes who report for duty to safely guide this country's passengers and cargo to their destinations deserve our praise. They have certainly earned it. Meanwhile, Trump called controllers who took no time off, or who took time off, they said no time off, clearly a typo, who took time off during the longest shutdown in history, great patriots. Oh, I'm sorry, that was not a typo. He's praising the ones who didn't take time off. He called them great patriots in all caps and said that he would recommend giving them each $10,000 for a bonus. Don't wait on it. Don't wait on it, because I guarantee you Trump's lying. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? I don't think Trump's going to give anybody $10,000. He's probably not even going to pay those poor contractors who are building him that nefarious ballroom. Okay. Anyway, he said any controllers who wanted to quit shouldn't hesitate, but would receive no payment or severance of any kind. He's just a low down, dirty dog. Okay. And would be quickly replaced by true patriots. In fact, one reason for the shortage is that it takes years to train and certify new controllers. I'm sorry, I don't know if anyone told Trump that, okay, because they already have a whole shortage of them. Okay, just for FYI, Trump did up. Okay, they literally already have a shortage of air traffic controllers, and it takes years to certify and train them. And this fool is welcoming them to quit and then doesn't want to pay them either. Okay, how dumb is he? But anyway, let me continue. In a subsequent post on X, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy praised those who have worked throughout the shutdown and said he would work with Congress to reward your commitment. Okay? Now, others offered sharp criticism of Trump's comments, saying the president wouldn't last 5 minutes as an air traffic controller. That's what former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said in a post on X. And after everything they've been through and the way this administration has treated them from day one, he has no business ishing on them. Okay? And I agree. Now, last week, the FAA announced it would reduce flights by up to 10% at 40 of the busiest airports in the country, starting with a 4% reduction put in place on Friday. That contributed to major travel headaches over the weekend. There were more than 4,500 cancellations and 18,000 delays at airports across the U.S., according to flight tracking website FlightAware. So, Trump has thrust the entire country into nothing but chaos. That's what he's done, essentially. He's thrust everyone into chaos. And, like I told you all, let's not forget how his low down dirty self wants to get rid of SNAP. He wants to get rid of it. Other Republicans want to get rid of it. They said that was the plan from day one, to cut some of the programs the Dems came up with. And so just to know that the Dems walked away empty-handed is just a sad thing.
Major news right now. Wisconsin loaded full SNAP benefits on EBT cards, and Donald Trump asked them to undo it. And Governor Evers in Wisconsin is saying no. He is refusing to undo the loading of SNAP benefits, full SNAP benefits for the month of November. So overnight, the Trump administration sent the memo out to every state across the country saying, if you started to give out full SNAP benefits for the month of November, you have to undo it. And that means including taking money away from people you already gave money. Well, Governor Evers is saying, no, we're not going to do it. They provided full SNAP benefits for the month of November to about 700,000 Wisconsin residents through the program called Food Share, which is Wisconsin's food assistance program. And he's saying that we're fighting Trump in court. We're not going to just yank money away from people who rely on it right now. Now, we'll see if this leads to some type of financial penalty from the Trump administration. But ultimately, Wisconsin is saying no. Screw you, Donald Trump. Spread the word. Subscribe for free. Follow.
Yeah, y'all hear this? That's how low down and dirty Trump is. They had already put the benefits, because remember, I told you all that they had, some people said they woke up with their benefits already loaded onto their card. Trump wanted them to take it off, wanted them to remove it from those people's cards. Can you imagine waking up, seeing you got stuff on your card and you're ready to go shopping and get groceries and everything? And then you get there and you load your card up and go to pay and nothing's on your card because Trump's stupid self told them to snatch it back. Wow, he really is out of touch with reality. He is literally out of touch with reality. Mel said he's a nightmare. Yeah, he is. Or either we're living in one. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. This is all so crazy. When people out here already struggling, this lady's talking about, things just being low income and people not noticing what's going on. Queen Ice is still getting paid throughout all of this. Oh, of course they are, beloved. And so's Congress. Okay. Yeah, they're definitely getting paid. Nobody else.
The New York Times is reporting that low-income shoppers are cutting their budgets and not shopping, and businesses are noticing. Duh. The official blackout hasn't even started yet, but people are cutting back. So do what you have to do. Cut back. We've got to get them where it hurts, and that's in their pockets. That's the money that they're expecting to get in this fourth quarter that they've been so waiting for all year. If it's not coming in, even at the dollar store level, the low income level, they're screwed. We gave up the fight with the Senate for healthcare cost. We've got to hold strong. Don't buy anything you don't have to have. The Senate might not be strong enough to handle this, but we are. Stay strong. The New York.
Y'all hear this? Now, y'all know it's bad, honey, when people have to come online and give everybody else online pep talks to make them to get you to stay strong, honey. Okay? The times are getting hard. But at the end of the day, you all are already prepared because y'all been hearing about this from me for 5 whole years. We knew it was coming. Okay, we knew it was coming. Now, listen to this. This is a roundtable discussion that they had where JD Vance, that is, boldly says they're not going to do a darn thing that the judges tell them to do. Okay? See, this is why the Democrats played themselves, because they openly admit they're not going to do anything that they're told to do. Hold on. Vince Adams says, Queen, I heard the Trump administration is warning food stores not to give discounts, allegedly. Honey, yes, they did do that, beloved. Absolutely. They sent out emails. They supposedly sent out emails. I believe it was like last week sometime. I reported on it. They sent out emails to different grocery stores telling them that they better not give out discounts to people that receive SNAP benefits. Treat them just like you treat everybody else, or there's going to be consequences and repercussions. That's what they said.
A federal judge said tonight that the administration has to fully fund SNAP. It's the latest in the back and forth, and the Justice Department said they're going to appeal it. What's your message to folks as they work this out in the courts and in Congress as we're heading into Thanksgiving?
You want to go with it?
Yeah, look, Jackie, it's an absurd ruling because you have a federal judge effectively telling us what we have to do in the midst of a Democrat government shutdown, which what we'd like to do is for the Democrats to open up the government. Of course, then we can fund SNAP, and we can also do a lot of other good things for the American people. But in the midst of a shutdown, we can't have a federal court telling the president how he has to triage the situation. We're trying to keep as much turned on. We're trying to keep as much going as possible. The president and the entire administration are working on that, but we're not going to do it under the orders of a federal judge. We're going to do it, but we're not going to do it under the orders of a federal judge. We're going to do it according to what we think we have to do to comply with the law, of course, but also to actually make the government work for people in the midst of the Democrat government shutdown. If they would like to end this, we would welcome working with them to end this government shutdown, and then we wouldn't have to triage what we're going to fund and what we're not going to fund. And the last thing that I'll say is the American people are unfortunately about to start suffering some very real consequences because of the shutdown. In the past, when you had a government shutdown, you would have under the Obama administration, they would lean into all of the problems it was going to cause for the American people at the beginning of the shutdown. The president has told us to keep as much going as humanly possible. But after 30 days of this thing, 40 days of this thing, you're going to start seeing very real travel delays. That's because the Democrat government shut down. You're going to start seeing SNAP benefits run out. That's because the Democrat government shut down. They should stop this charade and open up the government. That's what we want them to do. We've been asking them to do it for 40 days. It's time.
And one other thing, our country has to remain very liquid because problems, catastrophes, wars, could be anything. We have to remain liquid. We can't give everything away based on a number. Here's an example. When I was president, the number that you're talking about was a tiny fraction of what it is now. Biden went totally crazy, gave it to anybody that would ask, gave it to people that were able-bodied, had no problem. Anybody that would ask, we get the number. And it's many times the number of people are on. This wasn't meant for that. It was meant for people that had real problems. In many cases, people that were down and out, people that could be saved. It wasn't meant for people that could do whatever they want. The people that say, well, I don't think I'll work. I'll just, collect this money. Take a look at the
President. A federal judge said tonight that the administration has to fully fund SNAP. It's
okay. So they're flat out letting you know they're not going to do what federal judges say. They're going to do whatever they want to do. Okay. This is just a whole corrupt administration, in my opinion. And, speaking of corrupt administration, we know that if Lindsay Halligan has trumped up charges on James Comey and Letitia James, we know she's a whole crook if that's the case. The judge is going to find out if that's the case. And I believe that it absolutely is. But also, there have been some allegations about Pam Bondi. Okay, there's been some allegations about Pam Bondi, and we're going to talk about it. All right, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. These people are crooked.
Will not play a part in our decisions. Here you go. So when Donald Trump couldn't find someone in the Justice Department to bring the charges against Comey, he pushed out Eric Siebert, a conservative Republican, by Mark Warner's account, a prosecutor that was recommended by the Republican governor of the state of Virginia. And he installed a White House aide to overrule the career prosecutors. He is pressuring the Justice Department about whom to prosecute rather than letting the career prosecutor make a decision about the facts and the law. That's not justice. As former Trump White House attorney Ty Cobb said, we have a president for the first time in history ordering his AG to indict his enemies. And the AG, instead of being the independent force she's supposed to be, is saying, yes, sir. How can I get that done? Andrew McCarthy, a former federal prosecutor and conservative commentator, also said that this was a vindictive indictment, incomprehensible, and a mess. I was a prosecutor for 8 years, ran a sizable office, and people would call, hey, don't go after that kid. Oftentimes the kid would be like 35 years old. And not once did I ever go to the career prosecutor and say, get rid of that case. Don't do that. Oh, have less of a sentence. Because when you cross that line, because you have had that kind of political pressure put on you, you can't go back. You can't go back. You took an oath to represent the government, the people, whether it's a state, whether it is the country, and not to represent, in this case, the president. And this is not happening in a vacuum. At the same time, the president directs investigations and prosecutions of his perceived enemies. He gives pardons to and rewards his friends. The administration reportedly shut down an investigation into border czar Tom Homan for accepting a $50,000 cash bribe. The president pardoned January 6 insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in this very building. And he pressured prosecutors to dismiss a corruption case against Eric Adams. It was Hayden Scotton who was the career prosecutor in that case, someone who had clerked for Justice Roberts and then Judge Kavanaugh. And he said this when he was asked to do the dirty work. He wouldn't do the corrupt work. He said, you will eventually find someone who is enough of a fool or enough of a coward to file your motion, but it was never going to be. Politics will not play a part in our decisions. Here you go. So when Donald Trump couldn't find someone in the Justice Department to bring the charges against Comey, he fired, pushed out.
Hold on, you all. Hold on 1 second, please.
Lights shining down in the moonlight, but I can't help but feel this connection flow with every move. Go along the floor where you smile, makes me want more. Heartbeat and sing at the sound of soul. Tonight we dance, just lose control. I can't resist the way you move. It's been a bliss. Your power is crazy. The stars above, this night is ours. Wrapped in our love, the band is playing. Our melody sweet can help.
All right. Sorry about that, beloved. Somebody was at the door. Okay, so with that all being said, there was no lies detected. That's exactly what Blondie has been doing. Okay, she's not the U.S. Attorney General. She's Trump's own personal attorney, or at least that's what it seems like. Okay, and so earlier last month, okay, about a month ago, they tried to have an investigation started on her in Florida. Supreme Court rejected it, and I wonder why. Okay, because they do whatever Trump asked them to do. Okay, so, but they also said the petitioner failed to show a clear legal right in asking the bar to investigate a complaint against the AG. The Florida Supreme Court refused to force the Florida bar to investigate U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi for alleged state ethics violations, denying a request made by dozens of attorneys and former judges. Do you all hear this? Do you all hear this? Now, how come this isn't splattered all over the news? EC said Queen's date was at the door. Oh, honey, I'm not in the date game, okay? The Queen's not in the dating game, beloved. Okay, but do y'all hear this? So this is numerous attorneys and judges, dozens. Now they say the court's 5-sentence rejection sided with the Florida bar, the overseer of the state's legal profession, and State Attorney General James Uthmeyer, in finding that the 70-odd legal experts lacked standing to ask a state-level organization to investigate federal officials, even if they're certified to practice law in Florida. Because petitioner has failed to show a clear legal right to the relief requested, he is not entitled to mandamus relief. Okay, that's what the brief denial read, co-signed by 5 of the 7 Florida Supreme Court justices. Okay, so she got out of that by the skin of her teeth. But do you all hear this? They wanted her investigated. And she should have been. But not just that. Let's talk about her brother. Let's talk about her brother. Because this is what they don't mention. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, this woman claims that she received a cease and desist concerning Pam Bondi's brother. I think his name is Brad.
I have a wild story to share. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. I just received a demand letter from lawyers for Brad Bondi, the brother of Attorney General Pam Bondi. They are asking me to retract my post about Trevor Milton, who received a full pardon after making a $1.8 million donation to the Trump campaign. The letter begins, Ms. Oyer, we represent Mr. Brad Bondi. We recently learned of a TikTok video wherein you make a statement that Mr. Trevor Milton obtained a pardon from the current administration due to hiring Mr. Bondi. The letter goes on to say that Brad Bondi had nothing to do with Milton's pardons. So here are some facts. Court records show that Brad Bondi entered a formal appearance as Trevor Milton's criminal defense attorney in July of 2021. He represented Milton throughout his criminal trial. His name appears on the court docket over 100 times. And as of today, he is still listed as an attorney of record for Trevor Milton. But Bondi wants you to know that he did not work on the pardon. Guys, I have a wild story to share. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. I just received a demand letter from...
Okay, you all see how she did that? Real slick, right? Real slick, right? She repeated everything that she previously said and said, but he wants you all to know that he did not help with the pardon. Okay, of course he likely helped with it. Who do they think they're fooling? But hold on. It gets even worse. If you didn't know it could get any worse. So there's a whistleblower who got fired because he said, basically, that Blondie told him to lie. Yep. Said they've been telling the lawyers to lie. Looks like all the secrets are coming out in the wash. Please pay attention. And oh, hashtag, you heard it here first.
Fired DOJ lawyer, fired by Pam Bondi, on tape, showing his face, showing his name, blowing the whistle, and saying that Trump's DOJ, under Bondi's direction, is telling its lawyers, our lawyers, to go into federal court and lie.
That is not factually correct. It is not legally correct. That is a lie. And I cannot sign my name to that brief.
After refusing to sign the brief that called Abrego Garcia a terrorist, Ruvani was fired.
The United States Department of Justice, from the highest level, is telling its lawyers to lie in federal court in order to pursue, obviously not the truth, obviously not justice, but to pursue the outcome most desired by the President of the United States. And if there's no evidence to assist in that, we'll make up some lies. This is a step beyond weaponizing the Justice Department. Weaponizing a federal agency would mean the president telling the DOJ, the IRS, whatever, I don't like this person, so I want you to heat seek a team of agents on them until you find something. Until you find something direct, we can jump them with. What this is if you can't find anything, Department of Justice, make something up. What message does that send to Trump voters who want to break the law? Go ahead, we got you. Or Democrat voters under a blue administration, go ahead, commit crimes, we got you. See how quickly corruption this abrasive can ruin a functioning, fair society? A fired DOJ lawyer, fired by Pam.
I mean, that is so nefarious. Telling people to lie. Okay? Telling people to flat out lie. Now, there's another video. I'll have to show that one to you all later because this one I need to sign in and I don't have time for all that. Okay? I find it all so interesting. So this is what they've been doing. This is what Trump's administration has been doing. A whole lot of shady shenanigans, clearly. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Okay, let me pull up this video here. Now, I want you all to pay attention because I warned you all about this. I told you all. Remember how I told you all that they were going to start deporting U.S. citizens? Remember I told you all that? Now, some Republicans didn't want to vote to protect U.S. citizens from deportation. They refused to vote, supposedly. Hold on, beloveds. Listen to this. Mm, mm, mm. I find this all so egregious. Hold on. Let me share my screen because some of y'all ain't going to believe it. Okay, y'all putting ones in the chat because y'all know I told y'all, right? Check this out. Check this out, beloveds. Y'all see this? What does that say? Republicans kill move to stop ICE from deporting U.S. citizens. I'm sorry. Say what? You see that? Now, I've been telling y'all this for months. Okay? Now, listen to this. House Republicans on Wednesday killed a measure that would have stopped ICE from being able to deport or detain U.S. citizens. The measure was originally an amendment introduced by Representative Pamela Jayapal to President Trump's massive budget bill. My amendment is simple, and I hope that it has bipartisan support. It simply states that none of the funds in this bill may be used by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that means ICE, to detain or deport U.S. citizens, Jayapal says. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, I hope we can all agree that U.S. citizens should never be detained by ICE or any agency conducting civil immigration enforcement. They certainly should not be deported. The Republican Party does not agree with that. The Trump administration has already deported multiple U.S. citizens, including a 4-year-old with cancer. You all know that because I reported that as well. The issue came up at the very same time or the very same hearing where Republicans decided to allow ICE to deport more U.S. citizens. Your bill will deport more kids who are American citizens with cancer, Representative Eric Swalwell said or asked. Okay, his statement was met with complete silence. That's a darn shame. He asked him, your bill will deport more kids who are American citizens with cancer? They didn't say a darn thing. The fact that Democrats and my colleague, Representative Pramila Jayapal, feel the need to even introduce an amendment that says ICE cannot deport U.S. citizens is bats crazy, Representative Ted Lieu said on the House floor. How about this? Representative Daniel Goldman said, raise your hand if you do not think children with cancer who are American citizens should be deported. Half of the hands in the room were raised. Do y'all hear that? Half of the hands in the room. Looks like it's all the Democrats and none of the Republicans, they say. Wow. Y'all hear that? Isn't that a shame? Just Anticipate said, I wonder how the 4-year-old is doing where he's at. Lord have mercy. I hope that poor baby is still living and have had a supernatural healing. because that is so low down and dirty what they did. Okay, that is absolutely deplorable. So, but y'all saw that, right? I told y'all they would be deporting U.S. citizens, but y'all laughed. Some of y'all laughed, just didn't believe it. Just didn't believe it. And now you see. Hold on, beloveds. I got to show you all this. This was just so sad and quite frankly ridiculous. Now listen to this. Now I know times are hard. I know times are hard, but some people out here are just low down and dirty. Okay, for no good reason as far as I'm concerned. Who does this to their granny? Please pay attention.
There's a lot of pathetic motherfuckers in this world. How in the fuck your grandmother over the age of 80, probably 90-something years old, call you up and ask you if you can bring them something to eat to their house because they don't have nothing left. And y'all got to excuse me because this shit hurting like a motherfucker. I witnessed it. The type of work I do, I go in people's homes every day, and this is what I witnessed today, man. This woman asked her granddaughter, can she buy her some food? This little bitch told her, Grandma just bought you something last week. You got to start eating slower. And this woman said, I tried. Bro, this shit hurt. And then she asked the girl, she said, well, your brother, he bought me some of those vanilla things to drink. Can you at least get me a few of those? This little bitch told her grandmother, I got an idea. Why don't you call him? But right now, Grandma, I got to deal with these kids. And the bitch hung up on her. Man, bro, this shit hurt. What hurt me the worst, I think, was after the girl hung up, that old woman still sat on that fucking phone, man. And then she looked at me and then looked back down at the phone. And then she just started talking. I know she was talking to me, but she was looking at the phone, talking about, I don't want to call my grandson because I know he'll do it. This woman say because he always bring me stuff when I need it. But I'm tired of getting in his life. He got a life of his own. Bro, this shit hurt. I didn't know what to say to this woman. I really didn't, bro. I really didn't know what the fuck to say. And she's just on the phone up, and then she asked me, are you finished? I said, yes, ma'am, I'm finished. She said, well, thank you. Whatever. And I walked out the door, bro. I called in and told her I can't finish the rest of the day out. Then I called my daughter up. And right now, my money is funny. But I got something that I was going to do for my daughter, and I told my daughter what happened. And I think what's killing me the most is what my daughter told me. She said, Daddy, why would you just second guess helping that woman? She said, I just want something, but she needs. So anyway, I'm on my way to the store. Try to do what I can. I realize it's a lot of pathetic motherfuckers in this world. How in the fuck?
That is absolutely deplorable and egregious, honey. Okay? Won't even help your own grandma? That is so sad. And then told her that, Grandma, you're going to have to eat slower. Y'all hear that? You're going to have to eat slower. That's a darn shame. That is a darn shame, honey. I want y'all to pay attention. These people are low down and dirty. Now, listen, I want y'all to listen to this because now the Supreme Court, they say, is targeting mail-in voting. Let's talk about it.
So the Supreme Court just agreed to hear a case that could change the way that millions of us vote by mail. And it's got voter suppression written all over it. So let me explain to you what's going down right now. The Republican National Committee, of course, Trump's people, are suing Mississippi because the state allows mail-in ballots to come in a few days after Election Day, as long as they are postmarked on time. Now, that little grace period helps soldiers overseas and seniors and folks in rural areas who depend on mail. But the GOP is saying, nope, if your ballot ain't in by Election Day, it shouldn't count. Now, what they're trying to claim is it violates federal election law, which in translation is they're trying to tighten the rules so fewer people's votes get counted, especially the ones that lean more Democratic. Meanwhile, Mississippi's Attorney General Lynn Fitch is saying, hold up, our law is fair. If it's postmarked by election day, it should count. And she's right, because what sense does it make to punish voters for postal delays? Now the Supreme Court, which leans conservative, is stepping in, and if they side with Republicans, 17 states could lose that extra time for counting mail-in ballots, which means millions of votes could get tossed out just because they showed up a day or two late. And let's just be real. We know that hurts rural folks and elderly and military families at most. This is how voter suppression looks in 2025. They don't need to ban you from voting. They just change the rules until your vote don't make it on time. So if you care about democracy, keep your eye on this case, because the same folks who tried to steal 2020 are trying to rewrite 2026. Okay, y'all. So the Supreme Court just agreed to hear a case that could change.
And there was no lies detected, okay? It was no lies detected. We already know what the play is. Definitely trying to steal. Now, this man right here has a message for Black people who voted for Trump. You might want to listen.
Last couple of days, I've gotten tons of hate mail from Black Trump voters. Now, right off the bat, if you're Black and you voted for Trump or you're still supporting Trump, you are delusional. If you think Trump, I've known Trump for 30 years. If you think he's pro-Black people, you're completely delusional. I've been to Mar-a-Lago, I don't know how many times, and I've never seen a Black person there. And Mar-a-Lago is a huge place. There's 1,000 people there when I used to go there for a fundraiser or an event. Never seen a Black person. I've never seen a single Black person there. Okay. Trump is not a fan of Black people, but you probably didn't see this. If you're still supporting him, you probably didn't see how he snuck this in a couple of days ago. So a couple of days ago, if you're not familiar, Trump pulled back the law that kept federal workers in federal buildings from segregating bathrooms, drinking fountains, work areas from Blacks and whites or any other race. Okay, it was always Black and white, but that's what the law says. He pulled it.
Okay, y'all see that? Y'all didn't know that, huh? Trump wants y'all drinking out of the different fountains. Okay? I find it all so nefarious. Trump said, y'all about to go back to Jim Crow. All right. This is all just unbelievable. It's like we're in the Twilight Zone. Somebody come and get us out.
Texas just did the unthinkable. They're moving to shut down their entire civil rights division. Let that sink in. If this passes, Texas will be the only state in America without a single agency dedicated to investigating housing, employment, or public accommodation discrimination. None. Zero. They are not cutting red tape. They're cutting protection. The Texas Workforce Commission's Civil Rights Division is the one place people could turn when they were denied a job because of their race, a home because of their religion, a promotion because they were pregnant, or service because of who they love. And the GOP-controlled legislature wants it gone. This isn't reform. This is retaliation. It's part of the same war on DEI that banned diversity offices in universities, threatened companies for hiring inclusively, and turned the word equity into a dirty word. Civil rights leaders are sounding the alarms. Gary Bledsoe of Texas NAACP said it perfectly. He said, this commission exists because people in this state were historically denied basic rights. Eliminating it sends a message that those protections are no longer a priority. And that Texas just did the unthinkable. They're moving to shut down.
Texas said, who needs civil rights? What do we need a civil rights division for? Okay? Nobody needs civil rights. Okay? Nobody needs civil rights. Queen Sam, watch your comments, beloved. Careful what you put in the chat. I deleted that. Okay, Michael says, Queen, I see the benefits of segregation. We will ride at this point. And it will they will leave us alone. Well, listen, there's nothing wrong with segregation to me. I mean, hey, it's whatever. Okay, it's whatever. I don't want to be around people who don't want to be around me anyway. I never had a problem with segregation. Now, here's the thing. They absolutely are getting rid of the Civil Rights Division. Okay, it's been ordered to halt the halt of its ongoing investigations, even and litigation. And this is all initiated, or that was initiated under Biden's administration. Like, just bring it all to a stop, bring it to a close. Okay, for example, a memo instructed the division to not file any new complaints, motions to intervene, amicus briefs, or statements of interest. Now, the division is withdrawing or dismissing important cases. For example, lawsuits against the police departments of Louisville, Kentucky, and Minneapolis, Minnesota, that were filed under Biden-era initiatives have been officially dismissed. Did y'all know that? Yikes. Yeah, nobody knew. Nobody knew, but we should have known because Trump did say that he wasn't going to allow people to be suing these police out here. Y'all hear this? So, anywho, undoing anything that was done during Biden's administration, okay? All of these police lawsuits from departments of Louisville, Kentucky, Minneapolis, Minnesota, all of them. Y'all know what happened in Louisville, Kentucky, Breonna Taylor. Y'all also know that the black guy, David, I forget his last name, who owned that restaurant when all the protesting was going on, the National Guard killed him. Okay, they shot him. The National Guard did that. Okay, yeah, sure did. Anyway, that man was just giving out free food from his restaurant. So anyway, to the protesters, there has been a mass exodus of career attorneys and senior staff from the CRD. Okay, roughly 70% of its attorneys, okay, that's about 250 lawyers, are reported to have left or be leaving, according to current and former officials. Now, the CRD leadership has issued new mission statements. Okay, new mission statements for its sections that depart from traditional civil rights enforcement. Okay, and instead emphasize priorities aligned with the president's agenda. Issues like combating anti-Christian bias. Now, this is the president's agenda. Okay, this is what Trump finds to be more important than having a civil rights division. Okay, so that would include combating anti-Christian bias, keeping men out of women's sports, ending radical indoctrination in schools. Okay, for people like him and his party, because who else? All right. Civil rights advocacy groups are raising alarms, saying the division is abandoning its mission of safeguarding underserved communities and is being reshaped into a partisan enforcement arm. Well, it is what it is. The administration argues that some of the previous enforcement actions were overbroad, imposed heavy federal oversight, okay, through consent decrees on local institutions like police departments, and undermined local control or put undue burdens on local agencies. This is what Trump's arguing, he and his administration. For example, the DOJ's press release said the Louisville and Minneapolis investigations went far beyond the facts and sought sweeping control over policing. So they're basically saying they don't think Derek Chauvin or any of those officers who were involved, Brett Hankinson, Miles Cosgrove, Joshua James, any of those officers who were involved in the murder of Breonna Taylor, because that's what it was, murder, none of them should have faced consequences. It was overreach, and sweeping control is what they were looking for over policing. Okay, that's what they say for the Louisville and the Minneapolis case. So that would be George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Okay, I'm surprised they didn't say anything about Brunswick, Georgia, with Ahmaud Arbery. But that wasn't the police that killed him. It was a former police, though, and his son. They claim that previous enforcement may have been based on statistical disparities rather than proved intentional discrimination and therefore needed recalibration. Okay, the shift is part of fulfilling campaign promises to redirect federal civil rights enforcement from what the administration sees as identity group preferential enforcement toward equal rights for all, as they frame it, and protecting different interests, i.e., religious groups, opposition to certain diversity initiatives. Okay, so the changes reflect a broader ideological shift where previous administrations, especially Democratic, they say, emphasized enforcement of anti-discrimination laws, race, disability, voting rights aggressively. This administration prefers, however, to narrow, okay, a narrower set of enforcement topics aligned with conservative priorities. All right, by reshaping who does the work, career attorneys leaving, senior staff reassigned, and shifting mission statements, the administration is changing not just which cases are taken, but who does them and what counts as the division's mission. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Now, mind you, there are definitely some major concerns raised by civil rights advocates, okay, as well as former DOJ officials and independent observers like myself. All right, with a traditional skill base, experienced attorneys leaving or being reassigned, the institutional capacity to enforce civil rights laws may be weakened. Because who's going to be taking on these cases? People like Lindsay Halligan? Certain groups argue that vulnerable populations like racial minorities, people with disabilities, against police misconduct, etc., may lose federal protection if the division abandons or reduces focus on those areas. Well, that's what they want, because Trump already said when he was campaigning that he was not going to have people suing the police. So what better way to stop people from doing so if you don't even have a civil rights division, so people can't even file a civil lawsuit against them? Some say that the division is being politicized. Enforcement is shifting from objective application of law toward aligning with political priorities of the administration, thus undermining the notion of an independent, nonpartisan DOJ. Now, in the context of voting rights, the removal of senior managers in the voting unit and the dismissal of active voting discrimination cases raise worries and concerns about federal enforcement of civil rights in elections. Okay, so in short, it's going to be a whole major overhaul. Okay, it's going to be a whole major overhaul of the Civil Rights Division. By the time they're done gutting it and making it to what they want, it'll no longer be a Civil Rights Division, because civil rights will not even be anything that they focus on. Okay, I mean, it will literally be a thing of the past. It will literally be a thing of the past. So with that all being said, we're about to be out of here. I want you all to see this reporter asking Trump about Marjorie Taylor Greene. He pretty much says that she's lost her way. That's what he says. She lost her way.
Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you've said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president. But with all of that, I passed a great, big, beautiful bill, which is the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. So when somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's now catering to the other side, I don't know what, I guess she's, got some kind of an act going, but I'm surprised at her. But when somebody like Marjorie goes over and starts making statements like that, it shows she doesn't know. But so when somebody makes a statement about he's devoting time to the world, well, the world is the United States, because if the world's in trouble or if the world is ripping us off, the world was ripping us off before I came here. Europe was getting massive tariffs. They were sending us 9-10 million cars a year. We were sending them none. They were not taking our agriculture. We were taking massive amounts of their. It was so unfair. Now we have a deal where $950 billion is coming into the United States because of me and because of tariffs.
Those billions of dollars are going right into your pocket, aren't they, Trump? Okay, so now we're going to listen to this video of Byron. I'm sorry, not Byron. Mayor Brandon Johnson. Okay, he testified before the UN Human Rights Council, and then we'll talk about Diddy. Thank you guys for reminding me, because I told you that I would absolutely forget. Okay, I see you all putting it in the chat, so thanks, because I definitely forgot. Okay, so we'll get into that after this video. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Asked attention to the troubling developments in the United States, and especially right here in my beloved city, the city of Chicago. Many of you have already raised concerns about the deployment of the National Guard in U.S. cities, the militarization of law enforcement, the abusive immigration crackdown, and other serious setbacks in the protection of fundamental rights. And on behalf of the city of Chicago, I want to acknowledge your statements and expressions of concern. Your vigilance matters because it signals to our communities that the world is watching and that international standards of dignity and justice apply to all nations, including my own. We are here because the federal government under the Trump administration has failed to meet even the most basic expectations of transparency and accountability before this council. And by refusing to submit its Universal Periodic Review report and declining to appear for its review, this administration seeks to evade scrutiny for its violations of human rights, just as it has sought to evade accountability for its actions in cities like mine. This refusal to engage in good faith with international mechanisms for accountability and oversight is a moral failure. In Chicago, we live with the consequences of that moral failure every day. Families torn apart by immigration raids that have targeted daycare teachers, rideshare drivers, and restaurant cooks. Honest, hardworking, law-abiding people who contribute to the soul of Chicago, who literally make our city run. The federal government's immigration enforcement has been marked by violence and an assault on the dignity of all Chicagoans. Federal agents drag parents out of their vehicles in the pickup line for elementary schools. They throw neighbors supporting their neighbors to the ground and assault them. Right before Halloween, federal agents deployed tear gas on a children's neighborhood parade. This harm is not just concentrated on our immigrant communities, however. In Chicago's South Shore neighborhood, a proud, predominantly Black community, federal agents carried out what can only be described as a military-style raid designed for social media to be a spectacle for the world to witness. Helicopters circled overhead, doors were kicked in, homes were destroyed. Immigrant residents were detained in one van while Black families, including children, were held in another. On the west side, federal agents placed a Black Chicagoan in a chokehold and forced him to the ground, just steps from the doors of the West Side Center for Justice, a space meant to protect and uplift our people. Earlier this week, federal agents crashed into the vehicle of Diane Figueroa, a U.S. citizen who was on her way to get coffee before heading to work. The agents then took her into custody for no apparent reason. These are not isolated incidents. They are reminders that the fate of our communities, Black, brown, immigrant, is bound together. An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. And in Chicago, we stand united to defend our shared dignity, our safety, and our freedom. The harms that are emanating from the federal government are not only rooted in immigration enforcement. Black and brown communities contend with deepening cycles of poverty while federal programs that once sustained them are gutted. 1 in 5 households in the city of Chicago receives federal assistance to address food insecurity.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Now, listen, everything he was saying, it's all cause for concern at the end of the day. But ICE, they're basically saying ICE is the victims, not the people walking the streets that are being accosted or harassed or who are claiming to, just be uh accused of being criminals when they haven't broken any laws. And by the way, the guy who had that sub sandwich, yeah, that got thrown out. Remember the guy that hit the trooper with he hit one of the guards with the sub sandwich? That got thrown out. Okay, so anyway, yeah, they're trying to say that ICE are the victims here, not the aggressors. Because if you remember, on June the 7th of 2025, ICE's acting director, Todd Lyons, issued a statement saying that their officers were vastly outnumbered as over 1,000 rioters surrounded and attacked a federal building. Y'all remember that? Surely. And then in October of 2025, a news article from Colorado Public Radio described that ICE and DHS claimed that increases of 500% and 700% or even 1,000% in assaults on their agents over a short period of time. So it's clear to me who are the victims here. Surely not these nefarious protesters out here wreaking havoc and starting trouble. Surely not these hardworking people out here going to and fro about their daily lives, trying to get to work and make it home in one piece. Surely they're not the victims. Surely none of these citizens who are here legally, but their ancestry comes from different nations or different lands. Surely they're not the victims. It's ICE. Okay, ICE are the victims here. They say they have been assaulted, and the assaults have increased from 500, 700, even up to 1,000%. However, the Colorado Public Radio piece notes that although the claims were big, into the hundreds and thousands, okay, in the percentages, they say, ICE, Homeland Security, neither provided any details or any data to back up their claims, okay? Neither of them provided any data or details to back up their claims, okay? So guess what that means, folks? That they can miss us with it, all right? That's what that means. They can miss us with it. All right, Mel said ICE is being bullies and they think they can do what they want to people. They're going to meet their match. Well, you know what? I think all of these people in Trump's administration are being bullies because, yeah, they got the head bully in charge, and that's Trump. And so, yes, they're all drunk with power. That's what it is. They're all drunk with power, beloveds, at the end of the day. Now, listen. So, they had a report on the Breakfast Club this morning. I actually had read this a couple of days ago when they said that I told you all that Diddy's people, his attorneys, said that it was not true, or his spokesperson said that it was not true. And I was kind of thinking maybe it was because his birthday was November the 4th. And I was like, Lord, they get Diddy to, sip on some scissor for his birthday or whatever. But they're saying it's not true, and that's good. Okay, so I'm going to let you all hear this report from Lauren LaRosa from the Breakfast Club. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And also, Mark Garagos was on the Two Angry Men podcast the other day and basically said it wasn't true also on there. Hold on, let me make sure I have the volume up. Uh-oh, didn't mean to do that.
And we have some things to clear up. So first of all, we talked about that alcohol story, right? And I had already told you guys that Diddy's rep said that that was not true whatsoever. But yesterday I found out, of course, they, tripled down on the fact that that story was a lie, they allege. But they say, to back this up, that Diddy is in a program currently where they check in with him every day. Like they're testing him every day for substance abuse. So There's no way that he could have been under any influence
Drinking
whatsoever.
that hooch.
Yeah.
Yes.
They said he's in the RDAP drug program, and they said if he was found with any liquor or anything around that, he would not be able to be in that program. So that tells you that he is being monitored and that he is in the RDAP program, drug program. He also said he's very focused and committed to coming home and being a changed person. So he wouldn't play with that because he is. He wants to see his daughters. He wants to see his sons. He wants to see his family. So he is not playing.
I just turned to the ladies with envy.
Because, you know, I gotta utilize my resources. I'll be calling you too.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah.
Supposed to give her the information and be not supposed to report it.
I don't mind, okay?
I spoke to him
Yes.
for a long period.
Thank you.
No, Justin.
Oh.
Yes. And then so there was a photo yesterday that was released. It was Diddy's intake photo when he got to Fort Dix. And the conversation.
Hold on, beloveds. They are so silly. Charlemagne specifically. Okay. So anyway, they were showing Diddy's intake pic. Let me get back to it. Okay.
Dang, it's so. Say it's so long. Sorry, brother. Oh, God. We got to the place where he is currently. And the story that CBS News did, they broke the story with the photo, was that he is working in a chapel in the library. And
yeah, now I want you all to pay attention to this because there was all kinds of rumors and lies coming out, you know, and of course we likely figure some of this stuff wasn't true because, I mean, of course you're going to hear salacious stories, right? Because people just want clicks and views. But so you know how they were saying that Diddy was working, people were reporting that Diddy was working in the laundry, washing people's underwear and all that stuff. That's not true. Okay, that's not even true.
remember, there was a report that he was doing laundry. We were told yesterday that that's not true. He's not doing laundry. He is working in the chapel. And according to CBS, this is a very highly coveted job.
I ain't washing no drawers at Fort Dix. I refuse. Give me another job.
Yeah, right. He's not doing that.
The rumor was he was washing drawers. He's not washing drawers. He's actually in the chapel. He's working in the chapel library, and he also has the program Free Game with Diddy.
Yes, which is that program where he's teaching them business 101 and entrepreneurship and just different things that he was doing before he got to this location as well too. Now another thing, those conversations about Trump and the pardon. There was a story that broke 2 weeks ago that said that Diddy is all good, walking around smiling because he's telling other inmates at the location he's at that Diddy is going to pardon him and Trump is going to pardon him early 2026. We were told that is completely not true. He hasn't had any conversations about any of that. And then also, Envy said that he's super focused on coming home. He just wants to get out of there. He is not doing anything to damage or to push any of the time back. That is his focus right now. So they just wanted to clear up some things.
Where do people be getting the stories from though? How do they just keep? That's what they said. Where do people? They said that's
not really a headline though. They said man in jail wants to come home. Yeah, sure bet.
Okay, so y'all hear this, right? Because some of the stuff sounded crazy anyway. When they were saying stuff like he's going around bragging that Trump's going to pardon him in early 2026. Well, Trump never agreed to it that we know of. And so I was just like, first of all, why would he be bragging about that? Okay, so I clearly didn't believe that. And so people just been out here telling lies. And we can only imagine who started the lies. Okay, we can only imagine who started perpetrating these lies. All right. So anyway, and here's the thing. They're absolutely telling the truth because I looked it up and the residential rug abuse program known as RDAP, they monitor participants through a multifaceted approach that includes daily behavior checks, regular assessments and treatment goals, frequent staff interaction, and mandatory rug testing. Okay, progress is assessed through observed behavioral changes, meeting milestones, and completing program requirements, not just a written test. Unsatisfactory progress and completing unsatisfactory progress is evident when participants fail to meet goals or demonstrate a lack of behavioral change. Okay? So yeah, drinking alcohol would definitely demonstrate a lack of behavioral change. Okay, so that would definitely be something that would go against you. Okay, so that's good to know that all of that stuff, none of it's true. Like Michael Jackson said, it's not true. None of it's true. They made it all up. Okay, they made it all up. And I know some of the people that can't stand Diddy were so happy to hear the bad news. Just cracking all the jokes and poking all the fun. Okay, and so that all being said, and also, you know, I'm sure that it's much more fulfilling for Diddy because he's able to have his free game. He's able to teach that, bring that with him and implement that, you know, into, you know, teaching and giving people gems, information or whatever. Okay? So with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Listen, I will be back later because we have to talk about these nefarious pastors. We got some other stuff to talk about, but one thing we got to talk about is these nefarious pastors, honey. They are getting out of pocket. Okay? They are getting out of pocket. Byron said, didn't the rich man also want water that was dipped by the finger of the poor man? Byron, what in the world does that even mean? What does that even mean, honey? Okay, you're talking to the wrong one. What's he talking about here? Okay, so anyway, listen, I'm out of here. I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Don't forget to tune back in, all right, at about 6:15. Okay, 6:15, tune back in for the next live. Okay, until then, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me?